You guys all
Okay.
good?
All good.
Welcome to It's 11, It's Heaven for Jamie Vardy, the Leicester City podcast by Leicester City fans for Leicester City fans. And tonight I'm joined by Steve up in Aberdeenshire. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Enjoyed getting a few points on the board since the last time we spoke. Tom, you're over in Leicestershire. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, cheers.
Life good? Anything to tell us about?
Not really. Getting a few points on the board, like you say, but no, it's standard.
It's lockdown, isn't it? Yeah, it's exciting stuff. And Aidan, we've got over in Belfast. You've recovered from all the fireworks going off for Glasgow Rangers' title win over there, have you?
I'm keeping my head down from the marauding Glasgow Rangers fans knocking about the city. I was driving on Saturday near home, and kind of an open-top convertible car pulled out in front of me with a Glasgow Rangers flag, the driver holding a Glasgow Rangers flag. But he also had an interesting passenger, a cardboard cutout passenger with a Glasgow Rangers scarf around his neck. And of course, whenever I safely overtook him in the rearview mirror, Stevie Gerrard was looking back at me. So yeah, that's kind of the state of unionist parts of Belfast right now.
They're enjoying that, aren't they? I think after a few barren years, and some might say their first ever league title after they had to reform up in, I think it was 2011, something like that.
Yeah, you want to be careful where and to whom you bring that out.
I think that big fan of Leicester, Chris Sutton, said, "Congratulations, Stevie Gerrard, one in a row, didn't he, or something?"
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not the greatest loser, is he, Chris Sutton?
No.
Well, listen, we'll make a start. We've got two games to talk about that have happened since the last time we spoke, and we've got the Sheffield United game to look forward to as well. I think there was a poll put on the Facebook group before the Burnley game asking how many points we would be expecting from the two games. Over 50% of the audience said that they would want 4 points or more from that, and that's what we got. We delivered with it. So, Steve, are you happy with, let's forget the performances for a second, are you happy with the end results for both of those games?
Yeah, well, I was one of the people that said 4 points or more. I think 4 was the minimum. If we want to keep in the top 4, 4 was the minimum I think we needed. And we got it. So, yeah, happy with that. Thought we could have nicked it at Burnley even in the end. But yeah, got to be happy with 4 points, I think, out of those games. 2 grounds that are not easy to go to, even though the teams are struggling near the bottom. And I thought Brighton were a good team, actually.
Yeah, I can't see them going down, but they look really bereft of confidence in front of goal, don't they? And when Lallana slotted home after a few minutes, Tom, I thought, we've got the best away record. They've got the worst home record. I thought we were going to get a tonking at that point. Were you in fear, Tom?
Yeah, I know what you mean. When these stats fall like that, they're kind of there to be broken, aren't they? So, yeah, I think as Steve said, Brighton played really well. Certainly the first half, they were a lot better than we were. And I think over the last couple of games, Casper's really one to thank for keeping us up in points.
Yeah, the Burnley game especially, we'll come on to that in a bit. He was absolutely outrageously good, wasn't he? Aidan, we spoke about getting the 4 points. Out of those two games, how many do you think we deserved?
I think it was a real result to get the 4, because I think we could quite easily be sitting here if things had gone slightly differently with just 1 or 2 at best. I mean, Daniel Amartey's goal came in the 87th minute, a goal from a corner kick. So you had to kind of rub your eyes to make sure you're really seeing what you thought. So I think Brighton could feel a bit hard done by, especially after the first half, to go away empty-handed from that game. So I think maybe the 4 were a bit fortunate, perhaps, to get the 4 for sure. I agree with Steve that maybe we could have nicked it at Burnley, but equally, Casper's made some big saves, and if one of those had gone in, we could have been, leaving with maybe 1 point from the 2 games. So I think we've done pretty well to get the 4. Yeah.
you know, we're not here to cheerlead for Leicester City. When things don't go right, we have to talk about that and sort of keep the players and manager and hold them to account. Steve, it was a really, really poor first half against Brighton, wasn't it? What was the issue? What was the problem there?
Well, we just didn't have any intensity, did we? We didn't press them at all. They were pressing us. We panicked in defence when they were pressing us high up the pitch. We didn't seem to have the energy to press them. We weren't passing with any accuracy. We weren't passing with any pace. It was just poor. And I think a few of the players coming back from injury in the first half especially didn't really have great games. And obviously Jamie Vardy was a bit part player. Wilf had one of his worst games, particularly in the first half I've seen him have for us for a while. I didn't think Ricardo or Castagna were great. And then we've got the young kid coming in, Tavares, who did okay, but he was too slow on the ball at times as well and things like that. And he'll learn from that because it's obviously far quicker pace than what he would have ever seen in the under-23s.
He's got a little bit of something about him, though, hasn't he, Steve?
He has. He's got some real potential there. I think that he'll learn a lot from just that one game, I think. And the pace of it, and he's got to release the ball quicker, but he has got a lot of potential there for sure. It just not on it at all, and I don't know what it is. I mean, Burnley, they were the same as you've already said. Casper kept us in that with some great saves. Brighton didn't really. I'm not sure Casper. I think he had one save to make in the whole game actually, which tells you a lot about Brighton's attacking woes, I think, but they could have easily been 2 up at halftime, and it could have been kind of almost game over, I think, at halftime. So we were lucky to keep it to 1-0, and we played much, much better in the second half.
Yeah, the goal we conceded was sloppy, Tom. It was from one of our throw-ins, I think. Dan Amartey at right back throws it in, and then from there, the lads just sort of fell to pieces and opened up, didn't they, for Lallana to come through and score? What was your thoughts on their goal?
Yeah, well, disappointed in terms of our defending over the last couple of games, to be honest with you. I think Fofana was just asleep when that ball came in. And, he was basically played out of it. And with Amartey doing the throw-in and losing the ball there, he didn't cover either. So it was, a bit disappointed from that. But I think just looking at the team sheet in general, I was looking down it and seeing, Castagna's in there, Ricardo's in there, and I was hoping we were going with those as our fullbacks and going with 4 across the back. And I know our squad's quite light at the minute, and you could say, if you were then going to put Albrighton on from the start, it's a bit of a risk. But I felt like that was the game to really play for. Yeah. Well, to get on the front foot first, really.
So were you surprised that we still had 3 at the back then, considering that we played Burnley a few days before, and really it didn't work in that game either, did it? It was only when we switched to a 4 that we took a bit of control against Burnley.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think Fofana hasn't looked brilliant, to be honest, recently. I know, people have their off games, and certainly Soyuncu as well. Since he's come back, he's been an absolute shadow of his former self.
Yeah.
It's like he's lost all confidence when he's on the ball. There was so many passes between the centre backs, and then it'd go out to Ndidi and come back again. And I don't think it's helped playing Ndidi out of position in the first half of the Burnley game either. But.
Yeah. No, for Fofana, he's just back in after a reasonably lengthy injury, isn't he? But he's back in the side now. Soyuncu at Burnley, Aidan, I thought he'd forgot to put his studs in. He was on his bum sort of 60% of the time, and he just didn't look comfortable on his feet. Is it possible, as a centre-half, you can't play as part of a back 3, but you're actually, a really good centre-back in a back 2? Because every time so far Soyuncu's been in a back 3, doesn't quite look solid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different way to set up. It's a different way to play and defend. As you say, his studs didn't seem right in the amount of time, the number of times that he slipped. But I think you're playing a slightly different position on the pitch, and then everything in front of you looks different. And he's come back. I think confidence is such a big thing, and and he has looked like he's been lacking that bit of confidence that we really noticed in him at the start of the season, which was so commendable, even last season as well. So yeah, certainly not himself, but I think that goes with the team. That's more than just him. And I think, if you look at the players that we have out injured, and maybe slightly less confidence in some players in their teammates, because we don't have Maddison, we don't have Barnes at the moment, and Jamie Vardy's only scored one in 11, one league goal in the last 11 games. So I think that kind of spreads, slight negativity perhaps spreads throughout the team and affects performances at a subconscious level at least.
Yeah, I think Johnny Evans has been a big missing, to be honest. I think John, because you got to remember that Sionchu and Fofana are still young lads, really, and especially Fofana. And I'm not sure either of them are leaders at the back yet. And I think we missed Johnny Evans' leadership in the last couple of games at the back. We've looked all at sea. And you put that together, we're trying to go back to a 3 again when no one's completely comfortable with it without Johnny Evans marshalling everyone. And I don't think that helps.
Do you think we'll sell anyone in the summer, Steve? You know, we sell a big player every summer, because I've just been having this thought that if it is going to be a player this season, it could well be Sionku. While his stock's high, he's still got a relatively long amount on his contract. I just wonder if Brendan Rodgers sees Fofana as the sort of mainstay there, and he's going to look to bring an experienced centre half in again to play alongside him.
Yeah, it would be a big fall from grace. I actually think it's too soon to be making that kind of decision. We've always made good money out of selling a player. And so, there are some people that would say that the strategy works, but I'm kind of sick of losing a player to a so-called big club every season. And I'd prefer it if we hung on to them all. I mean, I'd hate to lose a Maddison or a Barnes in the summer transfer window, or even a Cags, any of them. I think we should be trying to hang on to them unless they're unhappy. And at the moment, with the prospect of European football, maybe even Champions League football, and the young players getting better and better each season, and surely we're not going to have the injury problems next season, I think there's a lot to look forward to being a player at Leicester with a new training ground as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Sidney Tavares before as well, and we'll come on to him in just a second. But Tom, while we're talking centre halves, who are your first choice centre half pairing? Let's say we're playing a 4. Who would you have as your first choice at the moment?
I'd go Evans and Fofana, purely because of the way they've been playing together. We saw Sionku kind of drop off at the end of last season, and him getting a red card at the end of that. But yeah, since he's come back in, he's just really struggled to look confident on the ball for me.
Yeah. Aidan, you the same for Fofana and Evans for you?
No, I'd still go for Sionku. I think playing alongside Johnny Evans in a 2, that when he maybe after a couple of games he'll get that confidence back. And I know I do trust him, and I do rate him very highly. Fofana's come in, done well, maybe a bit at fault for the goal against Brighton. Still a young lad. I think we've yet to see the best of him, and maybe in a couple of years down the line. But for now, for me, it's Evans and Sionku.
Yeah, fine. We mentioned Sidney Tavares before. Good, solid debut. He's very highly rated across Europe. There's said to be interesting from the likes of Barcelona and teams in Italy and Serie A. His contract's out at the end of the season. With him getting his debut now, is it a case of him either being in the shop window, or is this the opportunity that we can persuade him to stay, Tom? Because I think he is pretty highly thought of at the club.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity, not to sell, but for him to actually get a good run in the team. Obviously, this probably wouldn't have come if we'd got other players fit at the moment. But with the amount of competitions we've been in, and the situation we're in now, he's likely to get some good game time. But he looked like one of the better players, especially in that first half. I know there wasn't a great deal of supply for him or a lot of competition, but his movement looked good, and it was a hell of a strike, wasn't it? It was pretty unlucky not to score that.
Yeah, that would have been really announcing yourself on a bigger stage, wouldn't it? He just crisp half volley from sort of 30 yards out. It was just a little bit too straight, but the keeper
Yeah,
did
I thought
well
it
to get a strong hand.
might have just had the spin on it to take it past that glove, but
yeah, it was undoubtedly the best moment of the first half for us. What do you think, Aidan? What do you think, Aidan? I'll start that again. That will get edited. Steve, what do you think that Brendan Rodgers would have said to the team at half time, having gone in? And let's forget tactics and everything that goes with that. They weren't doing the basics, were they? What sort of manager do you think he is to have a conversation to change that around at half time?
I think he would have said they're a lot better than that first half performance. They need to up the intensity. They need to start to press them and get on the front foot and start to move the ball quicker. And that's what they did. It wasn't a totally dominant display in the second half, but we were the better team in the second half. And I think you couldn't argue as winning the second half 2-0. I think it's probably still a little bit harsh on Brighton overall. Maybe a draw would have been a fair result. But I thought we played really well second half. So, but it seems to be happening a lot, doesn't it? Is that our first half performances aren't always up to the mark, and he has a talk to them at half time, and we come out a lot better in the second half. So if we could only have put two halves together, I think we'll give someone a bit of a pasting, and we probably need to do that in the next 10 games. Actually, if we're going to stay in the top four, we're going to need to put 90 minutes together.
I agree. Aidan, what do you think that Brendan Rodgers has learned out of the last couple of games? Or do you think it's just a case of, well, I've not got my sides as I want them with the players that I want available to me, get the points in the bag and just move on and look ahead to the next game because the guys have got a bit of a rest now?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the big, we haven't looked good, in my opinion, compared to some of the performances that we were putting in 6-8 weeks ago. Our level of performance, as you've mentioned, especially in the first half, has really dropped. So out of the last two games, to get 4 points out of a possible 6 is very commendable, because I think it would be very easy for us to be sitting here discussing 0 or 1 or 2 points out of the last two games. And so, we've stuck in the game. We've had bad starts. Vidra scored against us after 4 minutes for Burnley, and with a poor, a poor mistake from Hamza Chowdhury. And again, as we've discussed in the Brighton game, Amartey and Fofana could have done better for Lallana's goal after 10 minutes. So maybe he's given that bit of resilience, mental resilience, that it hasn't gone to pieces in either game, even though our first halves haven't been good. We've stayed in the game, and then we've had that bit of quality. Beautiful assist from Ndidi, and the great finish from Iheanacho against Burnley. And then, of course, that no lookers. What do you English boys say? No lookers.
I'll just say that you're stealing all my questions for the rest of the show, mate. That's all I'm keen
from Yuri Tielemans, that quality. So, yeah, 4 out of 6, I'll take that.
Yeah, the eager listeners amongst you will realise we don't have a Scottish accent on the show this evening. Barry, Aston Villa fan, obviously would have thought that he might have had to actually praise Yuri Tielemans, so thought better of it than to come on the show. He's stuck at work. But yeah, Tielemans' pass, how good of an assist was that, Tom? That was class, wasn't it?
That's as good as you get, yeah. I can't really...
Yeah, the weight on the ball was almost perfect. Did you think Iheanacho maybe had taken a little bit too long on it?
Yeah, I thought he would have been better off whacking it first time, but surprised me, to be honest. I thought that was going to end up wide, but Iheanacho's doing good now, isn't he?
He's done absolutely fantastic the last couple of games for us. He's probably been the difference, Aidan, between, I know it's easy to say around the goals, but the difference between 0 and 4 points. He's really stepped up when Vardy struggled the last two games, hasn't he?
He has, and I think it's really encouraging. Sure, Tom says he could have taken it first time, but that's really encouraging to me to see him take his time and do what he wants to do. That shows a bit of confidence and a bit of quality. A striker low on confidence and will snatch at that chance, and yet he showed a lot of composure in his finish, which did kind of stand out. I've still got my question marks about him, but his last two games, just when we really needed it, his finishes in those games have been really positive points for me. I think over the last couple of games we've seen some big displays from our more established players. Schmeichel's made some great saves. Wilfred and Didi that assist for Iheanacho, and Yuri Tielemans, of course, that we've just mentioned. Those lads have stood up, and maybe in a way that wasn't happening at the end of last season. And so yeah, that's been really encouraging. We need our big players. We need those guys to keep doing things like that if we are to qualify for the Champions League.
It's so strange, isn't it, with the Iheanacho, Steve, that his mentality often gets hammered by the fans. I know there was a miss against Arsenal when we were 3-1 down, when it was already game over, when he scored it over the bar and the fans are absolutely going at him. But if you look back over his time at Leicester City, he scored goals in the Europa League forwards. He scored the winner against Everton in the last minute last season. He scored the winner in the injury time against Brighton. He's picking points up for us now. He's done okay for us, hasn't he? I know he's not the finished article, but who is going to be the finished article behind Jamie Vardy in that setup?
Yeah, I think it's been very difficult for him because Vardy's going to start. Rodgers prefers one up front. He started a few times with Vardy pre-Rodgers and they scored quite a few goals, but it never lasted. And when you're coming on for 10, 15, 20 minutes every now and again, it can't be good for your confidence. And I think confidence is such a huge thing. And at times he's looked not the player that we thought we'd signed at all. But given a run, he's really coming up with the goods. And as Aidan said, it was a really cool finish, to be able to pause, put the goalie on his backside and then pick his spot under that kind of pressure. It shows that the confidence is coming back in him, and what a sublime finish at Burnley as well, to take that over his shoulder, first time volley into the back of the net. So yeah, I think we write off players far too quickly, and unless they're given game time and get the chance to build the confidence up, we don't know what they're capable of. And
he's shown that in parts, though, hasn't he? That he can do it. Some of these guys that get written off, we've never really seen anything from them. So I think Damari Gray and even to an extent Dan Amartey, who needs to be supported, needs to be back while he plays. I get that. Haven't shown that level, but Kelechi's been a match winner for us on occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he'll continue to be for the rest of the season now, unless Maddison comes back. Maybe he'll get dropped again at that point. Yeah. But he's probably worth a start ahead of Vardy at the moment, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's a big debate now amongst the Leicester fans. If you had a choice of Iheanacho or Vardy, who would you play? Right now, well, I would probably play Kelechi, actually.
What was good to see from Vardy, though, Tom, at the end of the game, he spins Lewis Dunk, doesn't he? Lets the ball run past him, fires into the area, and then Dunk makes the challenge. Good bit of pace from Vardy, but should we have had a penalty there?
Well, firstly, I was really surprised that he managed to keep up with that ball when he flicked it around him, because that looked gone. He did really well to get back onto that. But I thought it was an absolute stonewall penalty. I thought there were 2 contacts from Dunk on Vardy's legs, and I know they were talking about Dunk might have got a touch on the ball. Well, we didn't see it, did we? They didn't show an angle that I thought he may have got a touch on it. So I don't know how that could go to VAR and not be a penalty.
I was convinced personally at the time, Aidan. I don't think you were you? I think you thought it would have been harsh.
I don't know. It was somewhere in between. Maybe got 2 contacts. Were they enough? Where the ball was at that point, was it about to go anyway? Out of play. I don't know. It was. I can see why it wasn't. It wasn't stonewall for me, but.
Yeah, thanks for making a really compelling argument for that.
Well, if it's not an obvious mistake, VAR aren't going to overrule it. And I thought, first of all, Dunk had got a touch. And when you look at, and they kept showing the behind angle, it could have easily been him having a touch. But when you saw it from in front, it was Vardy that got that touch.
Yeah.
It was a clear penalty.
It was one of them that if we were in the cup there, we'd have been going nuts if that wasn't given. I'm right in saying that.
Very much so.
A couple of minutes after that, though, all was forgotten because we get a corner and the little stat comes up for Leicester City goals in the last 15 minutes, and we've only gone and notched another. How pleased were you for Daniel Amartey, Steve, that he was the man that managed to nod that in?
Very pleased, because he has, Leicester fans tend to pick on someone, don't they? And he's had a bit of stick lately, and he has looked He's not defended too bad, but he has looked very uncomfortable on the ball. So better at centre back than right back for sure. But I was actually at Stoke when he scored his one and only other goal back in 2016, which was a similar kind of goal late on to get us a 2-2 draw. So really pleased for him. I didn't know where it had hit him to start with when I first saw the goal.
Yeah.
It just kind of seemed to hit him and go in, but then wasn't until you see the replay that he actually stooped to head it in.
Yeah.
I thought it just hit him and bounced him originally, but no, he did well.
Sanchez he's had a pretty decent time for Brighton since he's coming in goal as well. He made a real error with that though, Aidan, didn't he? He's cost them 2 points there, would you say?
Yeah, I was rereading the match report just before we came on, and the BBC journalist seemed to suggest that perhaps he couldn't get his arms free. He couldn't get his arms free in the melee of players. I don't know, potentially, but it obviously was very costly. And you know, the game looked like it was going for a draw, which maybe you couldn't have argued against hugely. So yeah, I think he'll be very disappointed, and as will Brighton fans.
Brighton going down, Aidan?
I don't think so. No. I think they've just got enough to stay up.
It's going to be fine margins though now, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I was just going to say to Aidan's points, Brighton fans might have been disappointed, but not all Brighton fans, because it was a great corner, wasn't it? No, you don't.
I'm not sure.
Brighton fans would be disappointed, but I said not all Brighton fans, right? Because he put the corner in. No, okay.
Oh, all Brighton. Yeah, got you.
Yeah, not all Brighton. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you've been
too late
too
at
smart
night
for us there.
Sorry.
Monday. Yeah. No, I think Brighton are playing like at least a mid-table team, I would say, but they're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. And for me, the fact that Schmeichel only had one save to make, and it was a save you expected him to make, shows that they're struggling. I know Morpay was probably a little bit unlucky to be offside, and it was a good finish, but they just don't create enough for all their play and all the dominance they had over us. They didn't really create enough, did they? And that would be my worry for them. Yeah,
and it's going to be tight now because Fulham have picked up the 3 points that everyone's collecting from Anfield at the moment. The generosity of the champions, and so they're now. They looked gone, didn't they, a couple of months ago? But they're now right on the tail of Brighton and Burnley and Newcastle United. And Tom, who's going down with Sheffield United and West Brom? I'm going to assume that those two are goners.
Well, I think Brighton are going to have a hard time if they're not going to see out games. You know, with mistakes like that in the closing minutes. I think there is a good chance they'll go down.
Steve, what about for you? Who's going down?
Yeah, they could go down. I still worry for Newcastle with Almiron and Sol-Maximin Mount now, two of their best attacking players missing, who have been playing pretty reasonably when they have been playing this season. Almiron's really seemed to have had a pretty good season in a poor team. So I said a few weeks ago when we had that poll on Facebook, I thought Newcastle could be dragged in. They could actually go down, I think.
Yeah. I would go. I would go anyone apart from Fulham down there at the moment because they're all struggling a little bit. You just think Burnley are probably going to shut house a few results and get their way through it. And so, yeah, Chris Wood's going to start knocking him in off his face, and like he did at the weekend against Arsenal. Just while we're on Burnley, we'll go back to that Kelechi and Nacho goal because we really struggled first half against them as well. Steve, how difficult is that a finish, do you think, for a professional footballer to take it over his shoulder and smash the volley in like that?
I think it's really difficult. I mean, it was the run as well by Vardy and him. They both worked together so well. Vardy made it, well, he didn't even run. He made a little walk infield towards the centre circle, which opened a gap, and Iheanacho saw that gap and ran into it, and Didi saw the pass straight on. But for it to come over your shoulder and to hit it on the volley like that and get it so right, I think that's very difficult. I bet 9 times out of 10 he would have missed that or put it straight at the keeper. So fantastic goal. I couldn't believe it when it went in. Just amazing.
Yeah, got us back on level terms, didn't it? When we didn't really look like we were going to be good for anything in that first half. Aidan, are you going to say that either that goal was better or the Vardy versus West Brom, the goal of the season from a few years ago, which was similar? Which one's the better goal for you?
I know certainly something that was said about Iheanacho's goal on last Wednesday was that maybe the goalkeeper helped him by coming off his line, by coming out. I need to watch Vardy's goal from the Hawthorns again to appreciate that, and to watch the goalkeeper. But brilliant finish, certainly from Kelechi. But did the keeper help him coming off his line? I think he probably did. So I'll still go for Jamie Vardy as the best.
It never really got mentioned that actually that the keeper I saw that the keeper was wide of the post. I think he wasn't covering.
Yeah, I thought that it was a bit wide.
Is it because it's Nick Pope that no one sort of says a bad word against him? If that's Jordan Pickford, he's getting crucified for that, isn't he?
Well, yeah.
All right. Aidan, you've made your feelings quite clear on Hamza Chowdhury over the years. Certainly whilst we've been doing this show, it's hard to defend him after that first goal at Burnley. What was going through his mind there? It's not the first time he's done that, is it?
Yeah, and in fairness to me, it has been more this season whenever we've been doing the show. I think something that frustrated me was the goal that I think Sigurdsson scored for Everton against us earlier on in the season. Am I right in saying?
Yeah,
that's not going back to last season, no. Anyway, that Hamza lost him and he went past him, and I think just another kind of mistake against Burnley where he kind of has called for the ball and then looks surprised when he receives it and just doesn't get a clean contact with it to knock it back, and I think. Just if we're a team that's serious about Champions League qualification, we can't be affording to have players that are making those types of mistakes. So yeah, disappointing because I thought he'd maybe been a bit more positive. He nearly went to St James's Park. Brendan Rodgers obviously promised him he would play at Craven Cottage. If he didn't, he came in there, did pretty well, and has had decent-ish performances. But whenever you've got that, maybe up your sleeve a mistake like that, then they're too costly, especially if you're wanting to be a top 4 team.
Yeah, he's potentially not a top 4 player, is he, Steve?
No, I mean, it's just basics of concentration, isn't it? If he was concentrating, he would have made the pass, or if he was thinking right and the ball was coming at him wrong, he would have just hoofed it out, one or the other. But he just seems to have those moments where he's not in the game mentally. And that was one of them, I think.
What's your views on sides playing out from the back?
Mine?
Yeah.
I think it's all right if you've got the quality of the players, but they need to know when they've just got to get rid of it. And we've seen many cases where goalkeepers haven't got rid of it when they should, or defenders haven't got rid of it. So first of all, you've got to have the skill and be comfortable on the ball. And Daniel Amartey, for all the praise of him getting the winner, isn't. He's not someone you can play around at the back with. He's not confident enough right now. But you've got to know when to just get rid of it. And I think that's the challenge.
Does it make you nervous, Tom, when you see them coming out from the back? Because for me, I totally get what Steve's saying there around top sides, elite teams. You think back to your AC Milans and Barcelonas that can pass through a whole side. Steve's just said you don't see Amartey and Hamza Chowdhury doing that, do you?
Well, this is it. When we've got first choices in, it's all right. I still don't like it because when we have to pass back to Schmeichel, we know what his kicking's like, don't we? His
distribution's great, according to Baz, wasn't it?
So, yeah, if we've got Amartey at the back, Fofana that's not playing so well, we've got Chowdhury in and about. Soyuncu that's doing the same thing. He's kind of waiting for forwards to sort of catch up with him and catch up with other players before he makes that pass sideways or back. That does worry me quite a bit, yeah. And you only have to look at teams like Arsenal that try to do it all the time and they get punished for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much my view as well. That I'd rather us lump the ball forward 70 yards and play for it in the middle. But maybe that's because I'm a football fan and not a football manager, and that's the reason why. But yeah, it makes me nervous. We'll move on from those two games, gents, if that's okay. We're happy with our 4 points. We'll get them in the bag. They're never going to be on our classic highlights reel. One final question before we do that, Steve. Was the victory against Brighton the most important win of the season?
Right now it was, yeah. I mean, a few of the other teams won, didn't they? Apart from Liverpool. So if we hadn't have won that, we'd be under tremendous pressure. I'm hoping it's going to give them some confidence. And what they did show is a bit of fight and a bit of grit and resilience that was lacking at the end of last season when we completely fell away. So I think the character they showed and just getting the result will give them some confidence. We should have Perez and Evans back for the next game. Maybe we have Pratt back, not too much longer than that. I kind of got a funny feeling that Maddison might not make it back this season.
There's a lot of radio silence around Maddison's injury, isn't there?
Every victory is important. I think every game's a cup final for us. If we want to finish top 4, it's the old cliche. We've got to try and win every game.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of home games coming up against mediocre teams. We all know what tends to happen.
Yeah, we could do with sticking in, couldn't we? And starting from Sunday, 2:00 Sunday, Mother's Day. Who decides to put a game on Mother's Day? Eh? Absolutely ridiculous.
That means you won't be watching it?
Depends, because I think she might listen to this show sometimes. So
right.
No, absolutely not. We'll move on. I'm going to play a game of Last Man Standing. Obviously, there's only the 4 of us tonight, so it might be a relatively quick one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a life each. So if you get one wrong, you can stay in for another round.
Thanks, Mark.
It's all right. I'm a generous guy. You know that. Again, silence. We spoke earlier about a potential penalty against Brighton. That brought me back to Premier League penalties. So again, from the Premier League era, I want footballers that have scored 10 or more penalties in the Premier League. All clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay. It might take me a while to find them. So this is always the bit that takes me ages to edit as well. Probably need to stop doing it. Stephen, we'll start with you.
Well, I'll have to go with Jamie Vardy.
Number 5 on the list, 24 penalties. Tom?
Alan Shearer.
Yeah, he's got to be on there, hasn't he?
Well, I hope so.
Let's go and tits up, innit? How is Shearer not on there?
Is he not?
He must be.
I'll have to keep going down the list till I find him. He's not on the list. I don't know how he's not on the list. I've gone down to like 55.
It's going to be a big edit.
Yeah, if it's like that, it's easy enough. But say someone else, Tom.
Van Nistelrooy.
Not him.
Class. Yeah.
Van Nistelrooy's not on the list.
Oh.
So you lose a life.
Okay.
Aidan.
Thierry Henry. Come on.
No.
What? What is this list of?
It's off the PremierLeague.com. Oh, for fun. Sorry, I'll have to edit that as well.
But yellow card or something, isn't it?
Penalty scored. I'm on. All seasons. No, he's not on there.
Has he got like 10 a season? Does he have to have scored 10 in a season?
No.
You're a dick.
Steve.
It's 10 in his career, yeah? At least 10.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
mate. Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, he's got 12. Cheers, Steve. Thanks for helping me out. Tom.
Wayne Rooney.
Yes, 23. Aidan.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, 23. Steve.
Was he Premier League era? Yeah, he was. David Beckham?
No, Beckham didn't take him, did he?
Did he not?
Don't think so.
Just the free kicks.
Yeah, no, he didn't. You're down to 0 as well. Tom.
Van Persie.
Yes, 15. Aidan.
Ian Wright. Must have 10 penalties for Arsenal in the mid 90s, late 90s.
No, but I'm going to find all these after this, and I'm going to let you know. But no, he's not, mate. You're out. Sorry. I don't think you believe me.
What is it?
I'll go through. I'll go through the total list after. Steve.
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah is. I've seen Mo Salah. I need to not do this again. Yeah, 13. Tom.
I'm going to go Aubameyang.
9. Steve, you're this week's winner in what potentially is the last ever last man standing. I'll go through the list for you. So we've got Glenn Murray, who've got 10. Jorginho's got 10. Benteke and Adebayor have also got 10. Then on 11, we've got Charlie Adam, Cristiano Ronaldo, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Yaya Toure, and Jonathan Walters. On 12, we've got Danny Murphy, Josh King, Bruno Fernandes. On 13, we've got Carlos Tevez, Mo Salah, and Benny McCarthy. On 14, Gareth Barry, David Brent, Darren Bent, and Jermaine Defoe. On 15, Robin van Persie. On 17, James Milner, Eden Hazard, and Mikel Arteta. On 18, Troy Deeney. 20, Leighton Baines. 21, Luka Mihajovic. How'd you say his name?
No one knows.
Mihajovic. Yeah, I think you're right.
On 21, we've got Luka Milivojevic. On 23, Harry Kane and Wayne Rooney. Vardy, that you said, at 24. No one got any of the top 4, which is Sergio Aguero. He's got 26.
He's down on my list.
Mark Noble, 27. Steven Gerrard, 29. And Frank Lampard, 32.
Lampard was on my list as well. Yeah.
Aidan, are you researching that as we're going through?
Yeah, because I'll screenshot it to you. I think part of the problem is this. I'm on the Premier League website on Ian Wright's stats, and it says goals, 113 goals, 0.53 goals per match. And then it says headed goals, 0, goals with right foot, 0, goals with left foot, 0, penalties scored, 0, free kicks scored, 0. Basically, I think those stats don't exist. Yeah.
So are we going to null and void this week, Steve, and take your victory off you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that. I don't think so. We can only go with the official statistics, whether they're right or wrong, I think.
Yeah. I can only really lay the blame at the PremierLeague.com. It's definitely not my fault, but yeah, that'll be worked on. I'll work on it and we'll get better for next week. So apologies for that. Moving on to Sheffield United, we've got them up next. It's the first time we've not had a midweek game since January the 9th. So that's going to be a huge bonus for us. And there's some tired legs out there that will be feeling that they need a rest. Steve, who do you think is most in need of the 1 week break in our squad?
Well, you'd have to say Yuri, wouldn't you? Because he's probably getting on for 50 matches already this season now. What's he missed? A couple, I think. I think he's been rested for 2.
Yeah.
But he's started every other game. And I think he came on in the 2 he was rested. So, yeah, I'm sure Yuri needs a break. There were times where he looked like his legs had gone over the last 2 games. So,
he's done incredibly well, though, hasn't he, this season, to play that many?
Yeah.
Because he was the player last season that didn't quite look fit enough. He got to 70 minutes and he looked knackered every week. So he must have put some work in the gym over the summer.
Yeah.
Anyone else that you can think of, Tom, that would be benefiting from the week off?
Probably is.
Yeah, fair point.
Well,
Jamie Vardy.
I'm just wondering about
Vardy.
Vardy. That if he is carrying an injury, you probably don't get him to train that much this week, do you? You say to him, look, go and have your Red Bulls and your ports and whatever you need to get through it. Turn up on match day.
He perhaps does need that week, considering it's Sheffield. He's going to give 110%, isn't he? So yeah, might well stick a quid or two on him.
No, don't do that. That'll ruin it. Let's hope the corner flags are going to be more robust than those at Bramall Lane this weekend. Do you see Vardy scoring against Sheffield United, Aidan?
Yeah, I think we can go and win that game 2-0, 3-0. I think the rest will do us good, and I think the confidence, when the boys look back at the last 2 games and see the resilience of showing the confidence, they can go and put in a good performance. Sheffield United still, unfortunately for them, have shown this year that they're not the quality of the Premier League quality. And I think with the lads being a bit fresher, we can go and take them apart. And yeah, I'm going to say 3-0 win. Jamie Vardy to score twice.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think Chris Wilder has said that he's pretty much conceded relegation now. He said that we're on our way down. That seems to have taken the pressure off a little bit. I was absolutely gutted that Baz isn't joining us because they beat Villa in the last game 1-0. We've got to be careful, haven't we, Steve? No game is a given in this league. We need to make sure that we're at it, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, we do. And there's no excuses, really, having a week off, is there? And maybe Perez and Evans back. We seem to have lost Under again, which is a bit of a concern because he seems to pick up injuries in training and he doesn't actually get injured in the match. But
he's
in
not
training,
playing long enough. That's why.
No, he's been injured 2 or 3 times in training. But no, we've got to play with the right level of intensity and press them high up the pitch right from the first whistle, I think. So if not, can't take any team for granted in the Premier League. We could be asking for trouble.
Yeah. Spoke there about Evans and Perez, Tom. Do you think they'll come back into the lineup straight away for this weekend's game, or do you think it will be one of them back in, or neither, and bring them back in slowly?
Hopefully both. To be honest with you, I think, as Steve says, it's important to keep winning, and I think we really need to put a strong team as possible out if we can, really, for this next game. Because after that, we've got a few tough ones coming up, haven't we? And if you get your better players back in for then, that's great. But basically, in those what you'd consider tougher matches, it's no good resting players now and not getting a result when we need one.
Absolutely, we need to keep the momentum going. Has anyone had a chance to have a look at a lineup that they think we'd put out? Because I have, so I'll go through this with you. I'll see what you think. So if I'm Brendan Rodgers on Sunday, I'm putting out Schmeichel in goal, Castagne at left back, Evans and Fofana at centre back, with Dan Amartey at right back. Keep Amartey there. No Amartey, no party, as they say. In midfield, I've got Ndidi and Tillemans. And then in front of them, it's the 3 with Pereira on the right wing, Albrighton on the left, and Nacho just behind Vardy. So that would mean that Sydney Tavares and Siyunku would miss out. Any thoughts on that? Or shall I stick my application in for the next manager role now?
So you're 3, Pereira, Albrighton, and
Nacho behind Vardy.
Yeah. I wouldn't go with Dan, the man, actually. I'd put Pereira there. And the question is, where do you play Perez in the hole? Do you play 2 up front with Perez behind them? So I would drop Siyunku, as you said, and have Fofana and Evans, and I might drop Tavares for Perez and put him in behind the front 2.
Yeah,
That leave us a little bit lopsided, but Perez can play wide as well. And
are you guys following Perez on Twitter? Because he's been putting some photos on. He has been working in the gym while he's been injured. He's looking hench. Are we expecting to see him come back like Cristiano Ronaldo, Tom?
It's surprising that, isn't it?
Take the league by storm.
He's had moments where he's looked like a strong breeze could take him down, but Yeah.
I said to you guys, I thought at one stage he'd photoshopped his head onto my body, and that's not acceptable.
That's not hench, Mark. Come on.
Oh no, that's not no. No, that was a Michelin Man as well, so I'm a little bit further away from that. So what's your prediction then, Steve, for Sunday's game?
I'm thinking 3-1 to Leicester.
Okay, Aidan?
I'm going to go 3-0, as I said earlier.
Oh, sorry, apologies for that. And Tom?
A hopeful 2-0.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester, and I still see us starting shaky, and not Craig Shakespeare.
Yeah.
On Sunday, yeah, he definitely won't be any good. I still see us starting off a little bit shaky and probably letting them into the game, but I think there is a stronger character this season, and I would wholeheartedly say that the last game we would have lost last season without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, let's keep it rolling. Let's get through that, and then it's on to the FA Cup. And then from there, you're looking at players like Dennis Pratt coming back, hopefully James Maddison. Harvey Barnes will be halfway through his expected time out as well. So we're looking like we're hopefully going to get towards getting a full squad back towards the end of the season for the Champions League fight. We have just had the result through from Stamford Bridge that Chelsea have beaten Everton 2-0 this evening to strengthen their position into the Champions League places and damage Everton's. Is that a good result for Leicester, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think Chelsea were always more likely to be up there with Tuchel as manager. They've been on a good run. I think they'll really be challenging us, may finish above us even. But anything that knocks Everton and West Ham back a bit, I think will be good for us. I think Liverpool are out there. Well, West Ham are beating Leeds, which is not so good. So we could do with Leeds coming back in that one. But anything that
Lingardinho has scored again for West Ham.
Has he?
Yeah.
Blimey. Can't stop scoring now, can he?
No. He's. They're going to be tough, aren't they, West Ham, to shake them off our tail. Tom, who do you think are our biggest threats for the Champions League? Because if we missed it this season, it'd be devastating, wouldn't it?
It would be devastating, yeah, especially after last season. And like you say, we've shown decent resilience with the squad that we've got left to stay up and around it. Yeah, I would say West Ham, to be honest. I mean, their set pieces are always awesome, and we know how we are at them, and we've still got them to play, haven't we?
Yeah, it's at their place as well, isn't it? So
yeah,
that's potentially our strength, which is good. I've never seen us take this many points away from home in a season. Aidan, how do we keep this going then and ward these teams off that are around us now?
Keep winning, Mark, really. Simple as that. No, I think realistically, we're aiming for fourth place. I believe that Chelsea will go past us, I think, under Tuchel. I watched them play Liverpool, and of course Liverpool having a really difficult time, but watched them against Liverpool on Thursday, and they look pretty assured. They look good, and they've got that 2-0 win at home this evening against Everton. So I think they're on their way up. I think they'll leapfrog us. And so yeah, it's for us to get into win those games. Win those games that we need to win, the likes of the Sheffield United, our easier home games against mid-placed sides, and then take points. Avoid defeat in some of the harder games, and hope that's enough. Obviously, head-to-heads are massive. The 6-pointers, like when we go to West Ham. So yeah, I think that's all you can do. I'm concerned for Tottenham Hotspur as well. They've got a game in hand on us that would bring them up to 48 points should they win it.
Yeah.
So there, you can't write them off. You can't write them off yet either. So yeah, it's going to be tough. And I think we'll really see Brendan Rodgers' mettle and quality as a manager if he can get that fourth spot for us.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, it's not going to be easy, is it? It's not going to be a straight line going from here to the Champions League. It's going to be twists and turns along the way, and we need to strap ourselves in for that and hopefully remain positive as a fan base and see our boys get over the line this time. Who is going to be the player that's going to make the biggest difference for us, Steve, going forward? Is it Jamie Vardy, or are we expecting someone else to sort of step up to the plate a little bit?
That's a very good question when we don't know who's going to be playing, because I think all but 3 of our goals this year, like 16 of the 19 before the last two games were Barnes and Maddison had either scored or created them. So I think if we get one of those back, particularly Maddison, maybe that could make a huge difference to us. I'm hoping that Jamie Vardy will rediscover his goal-scoring form. But if we're struggling without Maddison and Barnes, I would say Yuri Tillemans is still going to be the man that will make the difference for us.
Yeah. It's now West Ham 2, Leeds United now. So that is going to be them closing in. So in the table as it stands, that would take them on to 48 points into 5th, with still a game in hand on us, who are in obviously 3rd on 53. So that would make them at this stage our biggest sort of contenders, I guess. And like you've said, around that as well, you've got Everton and Spurs. Liverpool is possibly a little bit too far back at the moment. Aidan, do you see Liverpool catching us, or are they gone now?
I don't think their form will turn around as dramatically as they needed to quickly enough with 10 games to go. And there's not 10 games, not much left now, not many games to go. So no, I think down to Tottenham is our main concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone catch the Manchester derby yesterday?
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah, I watched quite a bit of it, yeah.
Manchester United were in stunning form yesterday. Where does that come from? Because I saw them against Palace earlier in the week when they were just flat. They had nothing about them really to suggest that they could go to Man City and turn Man City over. But they did Man City yesterday, good and proper. How good were they, Steve?
Yeah, they were very good. You'd say that they've always got a lot of pace on the counter, but they actually played better football than Man City through most of the game. Actually, it wasn't all about counter-attacking and using Rashford and James and Martial and whatever and their pace. And I thought they played really well, yeah. Looked good defensively as well. Man City didn't create that much. So an all-round very good performance. And whether they just raised their game because they're playing the blue half of Manchester, I don't know. But yeah, it was light years ahead of their previous performance for sure.
Luke Shaw's looking really good as well, Tom, at the minute. I'm not sure what's happened to Shaw. He's been absolutely superb.
I don't know, but he had confidence, didn't he, to run the length of the pitch and bang one in.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think Man U, they were dominant in that game. They were really pressuring them in and around Man City's box, and Man City looked shaken, really, after that first goal, and stupid challenge for the penalty. But
yeah, it was, wasn't it? Crazy challenge from a striker. So
bizarre game.
All right. Well, we're going to join again next week, and we'll review the Sheffield United game and look forward to the FA Cup quarter-final against Manchester United. So that'll be an interesting one, a bit of light relief from the Premier League. Anyone got anything exciting happening this week? Anything going on in the world of you three guys you want to make our listeners aware of?
Nothing really exciting happening. I'm trying to chase you on Super 6 though, Mark.
I know, yeah. We run a Super 6 league and it's getting a bit tasty. Tom, these two guys here that are with us have bottled it again, haven't they? They don't want to join us, but it's getting a bit tight up the top, isn't it? You had a good week.
I thought I was long gone at the start of this season, but yeah, back in.
Yeah.
Barry's still in and around as well, isn't
he? Yeah. He's potentially fighting for the West Ham position, and me and you are Man City and Man United at the minute. But yeah, all right. Well, thanks so much for joining us again, guys. I think it's been a good show. It's been good to talk to you. Whatever happens, we'll be here next week to discuss our team and find out what the future brings for them. That's another episode of It's 11, It's Heaven for Jamie Vardy, and we'll join you again next week.